guys, welcome back to the Live Out Love podcast. I am so excited to have Emily Reynolds on as a guest this week, and me and Emily just kind of met in chem class, right?
Yeah, it was Chem 1050.
Yes.
And I didn't know who Olivia was, but I thought she was so sweet and so nice. And we kind of just, like, struggled through that class together,
Yes.
I feel like.
And I remember, like, seeing you every day walk in with your backpack, and you always had, like, nice clothes on. And I'd always be like, are you a teacher? I think at first I thought you were a teacher.
Well, I usually don't choose to dress up for class, but I had an internship, so that's why I
But
was
now you
dressed
choose
up.
to, and I
But
love
now
it.
I do choose
You have
to,
good
and
outfits.
it gets me out of bed, and it makes me feel a little bit more confident about myself when I dress up.
Emily's a senior this year, so I feel like next year I won't, but, like, senior year I should, like, make it a goal to, like, wear not adult, but wear cute clothes instead of, like,
the way I think about it is, okay, yes, so like she said, I am a senior, and so at this point in my life, I'm just thinking about post-grad and getting a job, and so at this point in my career journey as a college senior, I view college as my job.
I like it.
And so I'm like, I gotta dress up, I gotta get there, and gotta do my stuff.
That's a good transition into post-grad.
That's my piece of advice.
Good.
School is your work.
Okay, I want
so
to
dress like it.
That. Well, you know what my schoolwork was today?
What?
Kayaking blindfolded. It was so fun.
That's like such a PRTM thing to do.
So I don't know if I could wear nice clothes to that.
Okay. Or you just could and just really throw everything off.
You know, or I could like make it like my park outfit, wear some chacos.
Yeah. Just dress for the role, right? I would say.
Exactly.
I also am a creative major, so I feel like it's also a part of my job to like dress cool. So
you are cool.
But also right now I'm wearing leggings and tennis shoes and a workout tank top. So
cute.
It's not every day that I dress up.
That's okay. Well, tell us about yourself, Emily.
So I, like Liv said, I'm a senior at Clemson University, and I study graphic communications and brand communications, and I really, really love it. I'm from Sumter, South Carolina.
Yeah.
So a little small town girl right here. But I really don't like big cities. So yeah, it's not my vibe. So I don't know where I'm going to end up once I graduate, but not in a big city.
And she told me that this summer she worked in Charleston.
I did.
So did you like that vibe of a city?
Yes. I just want to be in Charleston.
I love Charleston.
Charleston is the best place in the world.
It really is.
I love it. So, yes, that's the goal. That's the perfect city size
It really is. And it's, like, literally on the water, too.
Oh,
like, that's the best of both worlds.
Yeah, this summer I got to surf.
Oh, my God.
I learned how to surf.
That's so cool.
It was really amazing.
I always wanted to do that.
Yeah. Well, you're going to live in Charleston, too, right?
Fingers crossed.
So I'll teach you how to surf when we're there together.
Perfect. Yay. Well, today, I guess me and Emily are going to talk about just how it is being a Christian in Greek life, like whether you're in a sorority or a fraternity. And I think Emily has some really cool tips and tricks, not just those, but just like how to like juggle being a Christian in that and showing you that it's okay to be a Christian in a sorority. Like, you don't have to live this like either a double life, or you don't have like there's different what's the word, like people will go and think sorority people are like this type of person.
Yeah, like the stereotypes.
Yes, thank you. Yes. Like a stereotype. And so I think Emily today, she's going to talk about just different stereotypes and how you can change that and not be that in this college life.
Yeah. So I am in a sorority. So is Olivia. Yes. We are both in Alpha Delta Pi at Clemson.
Boom, boom.
And it's so funny because when I rushed adpi, I like never thought I was going to be like a big sorority girl. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought that adpi was just going to be a thing I did on the side, and I was going to like focus on like the normal ministry route in college. And so it's just really funny that college has been very different than that, and in such a great way though. So my background in kind of like Greek ministry is that I was chaplain for adpi my sophomore year. And it really just opened my eyes to, first of all, the need of Christians in Greek life. Like, Greek life can be a very, like, dark place. And I think a lot of people look to their sorority sisters or look to like guys and fraternities or something like that to fulfill their identity. And I just kind of learned that, you know, sororities and fraternities are dark places, but also they're amazing. And so I've really just been challenged to kind of connect being Greek and being Christian, because like you said, there's stereotypes of being a Greek student where a lot of the stereotypes are, you know, big partiers, superficial, you know, care about what clothes you wear and like everything like that, which I think is true in some cases. But then for Christians, there's another stereotype of being, you know, goody two shoes, doesn't know how to have fun, all that stuff. But I'm here to say that both of those things can come together, and you can, you know, you can go to all of the Greek events and you can engage in leadership opportunities within a sorority or a fraternity, but you can also be a follower of Jesus in that. And when they come together, it's really, really amazing the impact that you can have on the people around you, and like seeing your role in that capacity as a role of love. And you know, Jesus calls us to go to the lost and to the people who, you know, are in darkness, and for us to be a light to them. And so that's kind of a brief overview of kind of where my head's at right now in terms of being Greek and being Christian. But yeah, I think it's awesome.
Well, I was just going to say so Emily's a senior, so she's been in ADPi all 4 years of college, and I'm a sophomore right now. And I rushed this year. So I'm literally a newbie. I'm not even initiated yet.
Yeah.
So it's so funny, like, because last year I didn't rush because of that, like, whole vibe.
Yes.
And I was kind of, like, just being like, well, I wanted to go into college, not that my vibe. Like, I wanted, you know, to do all the ministries, like, be that person that have, like, that be, like, my standard, I guess.
Yeah.
But then freshman year, I definitely, like, met all these girls that we're in sororities, but we're also, like, leading me to grow closer to Christ, and that we're becoming, like, one of my, like, really good friends. And so I think it was really cool to be like, okay, not everyone's like that.
Right.
You know? And even my roommates last year, like, they were just the kindest people, and they were both in sororities too, and I was like, okay, not everyone's, like, stuck up and bratty and only care about what they're wearing, you know? But, so anyway, so that's kind of, like, why I rushed this year. And so I told Emily, I was like, I kind of want to, like, tell this story too, and I was, like, just, like, rush in general. So I'll, like, go on a little bit about that and then keep talking about. But for me, my rush experience, I was kind of, like, going into it. Honestly, I told everyone I was going into it open-minded.
Yeah.
Because that's what everyone told me to say.
Yeah.
But I only wanted 85. And so that was just really, honestly, like, funny for me, because I went into it, I was like, okay, God, like, if I get 85, that's great. Like, I know that that's your plan for me. But if I don't, like, you have such a bigger plan for my life. So either way, I'm going to trust you. And I took rush as, like, this biggest, like, part of just, like, that week of just, like, trusting in him and his plan for my life. And it was, like, honestly kind of scary, because, like, I know it doesn't, in the end, like, it doesn't matter if you got into that sorority or you didn't. But to me, I was like, well, like, you know, everyone second guesses them, and then they're, like, overthinking, oh, like, well, did they not like, you know, all that stuff that goes through rush. But, like, literally, like, every day, instead of, like, stressing out about, oh, this sorority dropped me, oh, this, you know, I just would, like, pray. And I remember being, so, like, you go in front of this curtain and, like, wait to go into the parties. And I remember every time I went into ADPi's, like, I heard them, like, they're all lighting up, and I was behind the curtain. And every time I just prayed, I was like, Lord, if they don't want me, if you don't want me to be in this, take it away. Like, every time before I went in that curtain, every time I would pray, like, if you don't want this for me, like, take it away, like, make them drop me. And every time I went in, like, the conversations were really cool. And it was cool that I wasn't afraid to talk about my faith with those people. And, like, I just felt like it was, like, open. I can do that. And I did it through every other sorority, talking about my faith. But it was just, like, I just felt like, honestly, that was, like, bold of me, you know? One, because, like, that's kind of, like, scary talking about Christianity in something that you don't know if these girls, you know, are Christians or aren't. And so that was cool doing that. So anyway, so then last day of rush, I single preference bid ADPi, and you got this call at, like, 9 a.m. and I remember I couldn't sleep the whole night, and I like woke up at 5 a.m. and I just like I had this verse I was like reading all week. Maybe it was Psalms 118. It was the Psalms. And I had the Psalms and I was just like reading it, and honestly, like it was so funny. I was standing on my bed and like worshiping. Like standing, like jumping around worship. Like the type of worship where you're just like dancing and just like I don't know, like just having fun.
Yeah.
And it was just funny because I'm like 5 a.m. and I'm by myself and I'm just like praising the Lord, jumping on my bed. I literally was like on my knees too. Yeah. But it wasn't like I was praying like, please let me get you. Probably like, please trust me. I was doing that. But at the same, it was like during this prayer, I was just like, Lord, I'm like this. I think this was a part of my life where I was like going to give like it all to Him. Yeah. Because I think there's parts of my life that I didn't trust like giving it all in His hands, and I just like get little bits of it. So what I'm trying to go with this is like it was a cool learning experience of like giving everything to Him and then seeing how much like He gave everything back to me, or like He like helped and like fulfilled this dream of mine and like showed me. And even if I didn't get adpi, I think I still would have been so thankful.
Absolutely, because He was protecting me. Yeah, and because through that whole process, like that was your prayer of, Lord, if this is not what you want for me, then take it away. And so if it would have been taken away, then you would have been so confident like this is not what the Lord wants for me this year. But I want to also go off of something that you talked about, like talking about your faith in rounds. When I was going through Rush, we were like told not to talk about the Bible. Yeah. It was like the 4 B's or whatever. Yes. Like don't talk about boys, booze, Bible, ballot, so like politics. And for me, I was like, you know, my faith is the most important part of my life. And if a sorority drops me because I want to talk about the Lord, then I don't need to be there anyways. So if you're listening to this and you're considering going through recruitment, I would just say to you, talk about what you really are passionate about. And if you want your faith to be, you know, a huge part of your Greek experience, then don't feel like you can't talk about it. Because at the end of the day, if that's the reason that you don't get into a sorority or whatever, then you don't need to be there anyways, because they can't like appreciate that side of you. And also there might not be people there that are going to encourage that part of your life, if that makes sense.
That's good.
But yeah, I've loved recruitment every single year. Every single year I talk about the Lord in almost every single round, which is really sweet because so many girls come into recruitment feeling very anxious. And it is kind of a scary process, and it's hard to, you know, everyone can say like, well, my identity isn't in this, and I think a lot of people really do believe that, but it's also hard when, you know, you aren't getting invited back to certain sororities or whatever. But to be able to be on the other side and to comfort girls and kind of just say, you know, you are so valuable outside of all of this. And, like, this is just one tiny little part of your college experience, and you're going to end up exactly where you're supposed to be, and you don't need to worry about it. Like, seeing the relief on girls' faces, like, when I tell them that in a round, like, it creates this bond with them that, like, I've met some of my best friends through recruitment. And so it's been, like, really sweet. I know a lot of girls have kind of a love-hate relationship with recruitment. Like, some girls really like it and some hate it. But I really love it because I've been able to, I mean, even on our side, sometimes they say, like, don't talk about, you know, the B's. And I'm like, well, I'm going to talk about it because I feel like there's a need for this, especially in that space of going through recruitment. Like, it is so scary. You know what I mean?
Yes. I saw this thing. I'm not going to be able to find this, but it was this girl that posted during recruitment, but it was like a post from like when she rushed like so long ago. Did you see? A lot of girls like reposted it. Anyways, it was basically she was talking about how like rush can be a mission field. Yeah. Through even like when you are the person recruiting and you're the person being recruited. Right. Like, and I think that was like cool to like hear. And she posted this whole thing and I ate it up. Okay, I really want to read it. So hold on. Sorry. I like don't know where my archives are in Instagram.
Let's see.
Oh, guys, we found it.
Oh, let's go.
Okay. So she said, Be bold and be confident in the mission. And she quoted like First Timothy 4:12. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young. Set an example for believers in what you say and how you live. Also set an example for in how you love and what you believe. So I just thought that was cool. And like I think that relates to what you're about to talk about and just like being in a sorority. And,
yeah, absolutely. And I think going off of that too, and this also ties into, you know, once you are in a sorority, like knowing your identity, even once you're in, you know, like every single day you're gonna be challenged with taking like the narrow path and taking like the wide road that is so easy because everyone's doing it. And I've definitely felt that since being in a sorority, but I can say that it is like so much better to live a life chasing after the Lord every single day instead of taking the easy way and doing just what everyone else does. And it's really funny because I think that there's judgment that goes both ways. Like I think being on like the Greek side, sometimes you can feel judged by like the Christians, but then also being a Christian, you feel judged by the Greek people, you know what I mean? And so I think in that situation in particular, it's so important to know who you are and to know that above all else, like, I'm Emily, I'm a daughter of the Lord, and like that is the most important thing that anyone can know about me. And I can still go to a pregame, I can still go to a function, and I can still be around those people because like those are my friends and I love them. But at the end of the day, like, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, and I want my life to emulate the life of Jesus. And so I believe like I'm called to a higher standard. And so, you know, living above reproach and living a life where people look at you at those pre-games and they're like, what in the world? Like, why is she even here? Yeah. And at the end of the day, that is where like the mission field in a sorority is. Like, for a long time, especially when I was chaplain, like for a while, I was kind of like, well, I feel like I shouldn't go to this pregame or like blah, 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 because I'm chaplain and I feel like I can't do that. And I met with a mentor one time in a ministry called Greek InterVarsity, which is a campus ministry specifically for Greek students, and it's amazing. But they challenged me and they were like, Emily, don't you see that, like, if you look at Jesus's ministry, like, he wasn't going to the churches. Like, he's going to the places where, like, there's darkness and people are lost and broken. And not to say that everyone in sororities are, you know, completely lost and broken. Like, don't get me wrong, because that's me just applying the stereotype, and I'm here to say that it's not true. But they challenged me and they were like, Emily, like, go. Like, why wouldn't you go? And they're like, and when you go, you aren't going to try to, like, convict people.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
you
say.
aren't going there to try to say, like, hey, you know, you shouldn't be doing these things. Like, that's not why you go. You go because those are the people that you adore and love, because they're your sisters and they're your friends. And above all else, like, you don't have to partake in what they're doing, but you're still there and you're loving them because you care about that relationship. And also, I think that, you know, in order to do ministry really well, there has to be that base relationship to earn any sort of credibility to what you're saying. Like, if you're talking to someone, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of a lot.
No, that's good. I was going to add too, like, I think sometimes there's this, like, also another, like, stereotype of, like, I guess a Christian, and even, like, a Southern, like, Baptist Christian. Not even just Baptist, just people in the South. I mean, I've seen it coming from, like, the North to the South. There's a lot of times where it seems very fake. And I feel like even just fake in, like, the kindness, you know, like how people have the Southern kindness here, and then the North, everyone's really blunt. So, like, even that I pick up on. Yeah. But I think there's sometimes this thing of, like, oh, she's this Christian, but she's also she's a two-faced Christian, and she's going to these pre-games, doing all this stuff. But I think, like, I guess, what is your advice for, like, when people say that, I guess? And, like, because at the same time, there are some people that, yes, identify as Christians, but still are on a journey of that and still growing in their Christianity, but still living for the world.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm trying not to like say this in like a rude like entitlement issue way or like
sure.
like judging anyone, but I think a lot of times there is like that. Not a fake Christian, but I think everyone says, oh, they're a fake Christian because they're doing this, but they're not. And so how do you, I guess, you as a person, when you're going through those pre-games and you're like, well, I know my standards are high because I want to live for the Lord and live like him in the image of God. How do you do that? And your friends aren't looking at you being like, oh, she's just like either, oh, she's just entitled, or oh, she's like this goody two-shoe, or oh, she's a fake Christian.
Sure.
Because I feel like those are three like things that I mean I've seen and I've gotten accused of. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I have a lot of different thoughts on that.
Sorry,
but first of all, no, you're so good. I'm going to read this verse out of Romans. It's Romans 12, 9 through 13. And it kind of goes along with what you're saying, you know, when you're in these places and people may be like accusing you or maybe you feel uncomfortable. But this is what it says. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil, cling to what is good. Be devoted to one another in love. Honor one another above yourselves. Never be lacking in zeal, but keep your spiritual serving the Lord. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Share with the Lord's people who are in need, and practice hospitality. So when you said all that and you're like, what do you do? At the end of the day, people really may attack you. And they may be like, who are you to be here? All this stuff, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And that's expected because that's what happened to Jesus, you know? So at the end of the day, character will always shine through. And your character, like, if your true heart is to love people, then it must be sincere. And, like, you have to cling to what is good. And so at the end of the day, like, yeah, people may say stuff. And, like, that's okay. Like, they can say whatever they want. Because at the end of the day, your character is what can be sustained through all of that.
That's good.
And on the other hand, when you were saying, like, the kind of cultural Christianity thing with us being in the South, I think I've had to just remind myself that it's just not my place to judge.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I cannot control other people's actions, and like that's not really my place to do that anyways. Like, my job is to love them, period. Like, that's it.
Period.
And I think, like, kind of like what I said, you know, if there's a relationship there, then I think that that's when, you know, the accountability can come into play. But in my opinion, like, until that relationship is there, like, my role is, like, to love. And, like, the accountability comes out of love, too. But, yeah. I don't know if that really answers your question.
Good. No, that is, I feel like. Because there is, like, I've definitely talked about this before, but, like, there's a difference between accountability and judging someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, like, judging someone, like, accountability is out of love.
Right.
Judging someone, that's not out of love at all.
Yeah. And honestly, and I'll be completely honest with you, like, there have been so many times in my life, especially when I was in high school, and, like, I'll just be honest, I, like, really struggled with being judgmental towards people. And, like, now I can see that during the time, like, I would have never thought that. But looking back, that's exactly what it was. And this kind of sense of entitlement, like what you were saying, where, like, I was seriously, like, the church girl, like, the youth group girl in high school. And for me, like, I really struggled with, like, that gap between, like, you know, I feel like this church girl, where are my friends, like, going and partying, like, what's happening? And I, like, battled with that in myself, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, Emily, like, what the heck?
Yeah. Because
at the end of the day, when you, like, really understand your position in this world, and, like, when you view your life in terms of Christ, like, who am I to, like, literally judge anyone for what they do? You know what I mean? Like, I'm a sinner. Like, we are all sinners, period. And I think, like, we are all on the same level, and I think that really helps me, like, when, you know, being in a sorority or whatever, like, it's we're all the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I guess I was gonna ask you, like, what are some things that you just, like, love about being an ADPI? And then what's, like, some, like, advice for girls already in the sorority and, like, wanting to live like Christ?
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love ADPI, and I really do. It's one of my favorite things ever. One thing that I love about it is the opportunity for leadership and like holding positions. And I would say, if you're listening to this and you're in a sorority, go out for a position, because I didn't really start loving ADPI for what it was until I was chaplain.
That's cool.
And at this point, I have a different position. Now I do merchandise. So I do like
she
t-shirts
does.
and stuff like that. But I love that too, because you get to really understand the ins and outs of the operational side of a sorority. And I just have so much respect for the fact that our sorority is being run by college girls. That's like, amazing. That's it. Like, there's no adult that's like running this thing. Like, it's girls our age, which I think is like really fascinating.
And it's very structured.
Yes.
I love how structured
it's really amazing. So I feel like personally I've grown a lot from having those positions, like, professionally, which is kind of interesting. And I feel like people usually don't think about that when they think about a sorority.
Yeah.
But like, I've grown in my leadership abilities a lot since being in ADPI. Second, obviously, like, the people. I mean, my best friends are in ADPI, and I've met through ADPI. And so I feel like that is kind of what people expect from sororities. Like, you meet your friends.
Meet your sisters. We're sisters.
Yeah, we are sisters.
That's so funny.
For life. One more thing is, honestly, like, I love the events. I think it's so much fun. It gives you stuff to do. It fills your schedule. Like, some of my favorite college memories are from ADPI functions. Like Mallard and Formal and all that stuff.
That's good.
I love that.
And in my little Rush video, I was like, this year, I want to be all in. Yes. I said that. It is so true that I feel like ever since I, like, joined, I feel like more like, oh, I want to do these things. Oh, I can do these things. Like, I don't know. And I feel like last year, I didn't have any opportunities to go do things. And so.
Yeah. And going off of that, I always tell people this. You are going to get out what you're putting in. So, like, if you want to, you know, only go to events, then you're just going to get events. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, the deeper you go, the more you get out of it. So, like, for me, being an officer, like, I put in so much time into ADPI, like, doing stuff. And so I feel, like, such a strong sense of love for it, because, I mean, it's kind of like any relationship. Like, the more time you spend with someone, the more you love it. And so that's how I feel. But
I love that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's so
what was
good.
the other question that you asked? I don't remember.
Oh, just, like, advice for girls already in any sorority.
Yeah. So
it doesn't even have to be, like, a Christian advice.
Okay, definitely get involved.
Yeah.
And I feel like I kind of already touched on that and why that's important. And I think it's just important to also not get, like, okay, stuck is not the right word, but don't be scared to branch out and, like, meet new people. Like, I'm a senior, but some of my best friends are in this new pledge class.
You know?
Like, the other day, I literally was hanging out with a bunch of freshman girls, and I was like, y'all are just my friends. So, I don't know.
That's what you say about me, and I love it.
I know, like, you are one of my best friends. But, yeah, that's one thing I would say. Like, it's easy to just get comfortable in your little friend group, like, that you met on bid day or whatever. But there's so many more people.
No, I love that.
And, like, okay, I'm like I said, I'm a senior, so I think about post-grad a lot and jobs. But leveraging a sorority as a networking opportunity to, like, get a job is huge. And I feel like people don't really think about that. But I got a job offer this summer from last summer. I ended up doing something else. But I knew this woman from ADPI. Like, she came and spoke at one of, like, our Rush, like, our
workshop.
Yeah, our workshops. But anyway, so
that's so cool.
Use your sorority to find a job.
I like that advice.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
And also just don't take it super seriously. Like, I know right now Big Little is happening, and everyone's trying to find their big or their little.
It's really not that deep.
And it's just really not that deep. And sometimes people get really stressed and overwhelmed, and it's just not that deep.
I think it's funny, too, because I think it happens when you least expect it.
Yeah.
Like, even with that, like, stressing out about who was going to be my big, and I was like, this is going to be released later. But, I think it's funny because then this one girl that I, like, really liked, you're the one that was like, you should reach out to her. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And I would have never known if, like, you didn't meet those other random connections.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Yeah, I cut you off.
No, you didn't cut me off. Yeah, I mean, I could talk about how great sororities are, like, all day. I really could. But ultimately, just enjoy it. Like, it's crazy to me that I'm almost done.
Oh, that's sad.
And it is really sad. But yeah, just what you put in is what you get out.
I like that.
And I will say, like, that goes for everything.
Yes.
Like, that's not just for sororities. Like, that goes for every single thing that you could be involved in. And not that you have to, like, go super deep in every single thing, but go deep in something. Like, pick something that, like, you're going to devote a lot of time to, because that's where you get, like, the relationships and the connections and the memories and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
That's so true. And I really like, too, how you said, like, some of your best friends now are, like, freshmen. Like, and I think that goes to show, like, if you are in a sorority and you aren't right now finding your closest friends and you're, like, stressed out about, like, that, like, I feel like it happens over time.
Oh my gosh.
And, like, it's obviously gonna happen. And I think, like, yeah, that's definitely something I've been hearing a lot about from people.
And that brings up something that I also really want to share, because over the years, I mean, I've gone through the ups and downs of college, but I've also been able to talk to a lot of girls who also are going in the ups and downs of college. And especially in a sorority, like, it can be so hard because it's really overwhelming sometimes. Yeah. Like, it really is. And it's hard when you look around you, especially when you're a new member, and this goes, like, this is college freshman period, like, whether you're in a sorority or not. It's hard when you look around and you see so many girls and it looks like they already have all of their best friends, and, like, if that's not you, it's easy to be like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? Like, what's wrong with me? Because when you're in high school, everyone says college is the best 4 years of your life. Yeah. And then I'm like, well, that sucks, because I'm about to graduate college. Is this as good as life gets? And, like, no, it's like, life is going to get better. But also, it's so hard. Like, it makes me so sad because I've talked to so many girls who, like, struggle a lot, especially freshman year, around, like, the end of first semester, where they're like, where are my best friends? Yeah. Like, I thought that I should have already had all of my best friends by now, and, like, why am I not having the best time of my life? And I just want to say, like, as a reminder, those friendships will come, and, like, they'll come when you don't expect it. Like, my best friends now, they weren't even my best friends freshman year. Like, I wouldn't even say we were, like, close friends at all freshman year.
That's awesome.
So I hope that that's just an encouragement. If you are a freshman and you're feeling that way, just give it time.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be, it can be quality over quantity.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Like, you don't have to have, like, that whole friend group.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So, yeah, that's my little piece of advice. That's because really good. I feel like a lot of people do struggle with that. And it's hard when you've been told that this is supposed to be the best time of your life, and sometimes it's not. You know what I mean? Like, college is really hard, and
yes,
it's good to just keep that in mind.
That's so true. Like, I remember first semester last year, I was, like, crying, like, every week, and I, like, wanted to go home, and I, like, wanted to transfer, and then it got better, but it was, like, I was like, why? You know, like, my mom went to college, and, like, she is still friends with her college friends till this day, and I'm like, she met them, you know, like, freshman year, like, why can't, you know? And so I think it's always, like, the why. But everyone has their different story. Everyone's on their different journey. Yeah. And you have to, like, think about that, too. And, like, the Lord isn't going to hurt you with that. Like, he's obviously going to bless you if, like, you are praying for those good friendships.
Oh, my gosh,
you know?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
I like that advice a lot. That's really good. Well, sure. Do you have anything else for us today?
I don't think I have anything else.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. But I will say, if you're on the fence about being in a sorority, because I've also talked to a lot of girls, I'm like, especially the girls that have gone through Bridge, which is kind of like the first year at Clemson when you aren't at Clemson yet. And I've talked to some girls, I'm like, are you gonna rush? And so many times they're like, I don't know. And they kind of, like, in the conversation, they're like, I don't think I want to be involved in Greek life because, like, I'm not X, Y, and Z. Like, I don't fit that mold. And I just want to say, that's honestly a lie. Like, the mold does not exist. There is no mold. And you can be a light to people. Like, my whole thing, like, my whole college experience has been seeing Greek life as an opportunity for ministry. And it's not, like, a conventional thing. Like, it's not a campus ministry, but, like, there's so many girls who need friends who, like, know who they are in the Lord and can encourage them in that way. So if you're on the fence, do it.
Yeah.
I love being in a sorority. It's so much fun.
It's already been a month in, and I love it.
Yeah.
It's great. Not like I'm making it my whole personality, but it's so fun to be like, oh my gosh, like, I'm in this cool thing.
Yeah.
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 It's awesome. So fun. And even just like I feel like I've made so much more, like, friends, too, that are in other sororities.
Yeah.
Just by random connections, too. And I think it's literally all about the connections you make and, like, too, of, like, just do it. Like, you'll meet so many people and...
Right. Yeah. And another thing that I want to add, like, obviously your experience really worked out. But sometimes it doesn't, like, when you're going through recruitment. And sometimes, you know, you come into it and you really, really want to rush a certain sorority and they drop you. And I just want to say, like, trust the process. And, like, Liv, you, like, went through recruitment in such a beautiful way where you kind of had your hands open to it. And you were like, Lord, if this is what you want, then, like, that'd be great. But if not, then it's okay.
Yeah.
First of all, just because you're in a sorority doesn't mean those are the only friends you can have. I have plenty of friends that are not in sororities, that are in different sororities. So don't think that just because you aren't in a certain sorority that means that you aren't going to be able to be friends with them anyways. And then also just trusting that, like, you're going to end up where you're supposed to be, and it's okay if it's not what you expected. So, yeah.
It's good.
Sorority, like, it does not have to be, it's not going to be your entire life. Like, there is life outside of sororities in college, for sure.
So true.
Yeah. Okay, I think
good
that's
advice.
all now.
Yeah. Awesome. Do you want to close this out in prayer?
I would love to.
Okay, yay.
Lord, thank you so much for this day. I thank you for Olivia and just her heart for you, God. I thank you for this podcast and just all of the girls that it's been able to reach. I thank you just for the conversations that have been had in this outlet, Lord. I thank you for the people that this podcast in particular is going to reach, Lord. I just want to pray over Greek life, Lord, nationwide, that you would just come and break down barriers, Lord. Yes. That a sorority or fraternity, Lord, would be known for the people that love you, Lord. I just pray that you would come and cover, especially Clemson, Lord, and that every single student and Greek student, Lord, would just know that their identity is in you above all other things. I just pray for a revival here too, Lord, that your spirit would just be poured out over Clemson and over every single college campus. Lord, we love you. We need you so much, and we just ask you to come and be with us. I pray for the people in Greek life that feel lonely, Lord, or that feel like they aren't worthy to be where they are. And I pray that you would just come and just destroy those lies, God, that you would just remind people who they are, which are loved and cherished sons and daughters of you. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and it's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking about this, and thank you for everyone for listening, and I hope you guys like this episode, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.